Today I would like to invite you to listen to the Dhammapada of the Buddha Shakyamuni. 140-second verses from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel Thien Thai in the USA. Though gaily decked, if he should live in peace, with passions subdued and senses controlled, certain of the four paths of sainthood, perfectly pure, laying aside the rod in his relations towards all living beings, a brahmana indeed is he, an ascetic is he, a bhikkhu is he. Thus the Blessed One spoke, overturning the shallow judgments of the world and opening the eyes of those bound by appearances. In the time of the Buddha, many believed holiness must look severe, that virtue must appear austere, that purity must be wrapped in hardship and sorrow. They judged by robes and rituals, by hair and posture, by poverty and display. Yet the Buddha saw deeper, beyond cloth and color, beyond ornament and simplicity, into the stillness of the heart. There was a disciple who dressed well, whose body was clean, whose appearance was calm and harmonious, and some doubted his practice, whispering that one who looked joyful could not be free from desire. The Buddha, seeing their confusion, revealed that true renunciation is not the rejection of beauty, but the release of clinging. A mind at peace does not depend on rags or finery. A heart subdued in passion does not tremble before pleasure or pain. The Buddha taught that one may walk gently through the world, wearing what is offered, accepting conditions without attachment, and still be perfectly pure. Control of the senses does not mean hatred of experience, but freedom within experience. The eye sees without grasping. The ear hears without craving. The body moves without harming. The mind abides without burning. This is the life of peace the Buddha praised. He taught that the true Brahmana is not born by blood, nor marked by ritual, but revealed by conduct and understanding. One who has laid aside the rod does not injure with hand or word or thought. One who has laid aside the rod does not dominate, threaten, or exploit, but lives in harmlessness toward all beings, seen and unseen. Such a one may walk among people without fear, because fear has been abandoned within. The Buddha spoke this verse to dissolve false pride in hardship and false shame in joy, teaching that purity is not sadness, and holiness is not hostility toward life. He showed that peace is the ornament of the awakened, and gentleness is the sign of true strength. When passions are subdued, joy becomes quiet and steady. When the senses are controlled, the mind becomes spacious and clear. When the path is certain, doubt no longer shakes the heart. When purity is complete, compassion flows without effort. The Buddha revealed that one may live beautifully without being bound, may act gracefully without conceit, may appear ordinary yet dwell in liberation. This verse stands as a lamp for all generations, reminding practitioners not to mistake suffering for wisdom, nor harshness for depth, nor appearance for truth. The true ascetic is known by peace. The true bhikkhu is known by harmlessness. The true practitioner is known by the ending of grasping and the flowering of kindness. Thus the Buddha spoke, gently correcting the world, and opening a path where freedom walks hand in hand with serenity. As the meaning of this verse settles into the heart, the practitioner begins to understand that the Dharma does not ask for disguise or denial, but for harmony rooted in wisdom. The Buddha pointed toward a freedom that does not flee the world, but moves through it without bondage. When passions are subdued, it does not mean they are crushed by force, but that they are understood so completely they lose their power. Desire no longer commands the mind, aversion no longer poisons the heart, and delusion no longer clouds vision. In such a state, peace arises naturally, not as a fragile calm dependent on conditions, but as a stable presence born of insight. The Buddha taught that this peace can dwell in a person who lives simply or one who lives amid abundance, because peace is not stored in objects, but in the absence of grasping. Control of the senses is not repression, but mastery through awareness. The senses become gateways of knowing rather than doors of bondage. Seeing does not lead to craving. Hearing does not lead to agitation. Touch does not lead to restlessness. The mind rests within experience without being pulled apart by it. This is the subtle discipline praised by the Buddha, invisible to those who judge by outward form, yet radiant to those who know the Dharma. The verse teaches that certainty of the path arises when practice matures, when the noble way is walked steadily, not hurriedly, not lazily, but with balanced effort. Such certainty does not cling to belief, but stands firm in understanding. The practitioner knows suffering, sees its cause, experiences its cessation, and walks the path that leads beyond it. This knowing brings a quiet confidence that does not argue, does not boast, and does not seek approval. The Buddha revealed that perfect purity is not moral perfection alone, but freedom from inner conflict. When the heart no longer fights itself, purity is complete. Laying aside the rod is the flowering of this purity, the natural expression of a mind free from fear and hostility. Violence, whether coarse or subtle, cannot arise in one who sees all beings as bound by conditions, all struggling under ignorance, all worthy of compassion. Such a person does not dominate through power, does not wound through speech, does not manipulate through intention. Their presence itself becomes a refuge. The Buddha honored this way of being by naming it true asceticism, true renunciation, true holy life. He showed that the renunciation of hatred is greater than the renunciation of possessions, and the abandonment of cruelty is greater than the abandonment of comfort. This teaching frees practitioners from narrow definitions of holiness, opening a path accessible to householders and monastics alike. One may care for family, fulfill duties, and engage society while still living in peace, with passions subdued and senses controlled. The Dharma becomes alive in daily conduct, expressed through patience, generosity, honesty, and restraint. Each interaction becomes a chance to lay aside the rod, to choose understanding over reaction, kindness over force. The Buddha's words dissolve the false divide between sacred and ordinary, revealing that awakening is not a performance set apart from life, but a way of meeting life fully without harm. In this meeting, joy becomes quiet and enduring, not dependent on stimulation, but rooted in contentment. The practitioner learns to appreciate beauty without clinging, comfort without dependence, praise without intoxication. Equanimity grows, allowing the heart to remain steady amid change. This steadiness is not indifference, but deep care balanced by wisdom. The Buddha's verse gently instructs that the highest ornament is peace, the finest robe is virtue, and the strongest protection is harmlessness. Those who embody this teaching may appear gaily decked or plainly clothed, but their true adornment is invisible. Known through the ease they bring to others, the trust they inspire, and the calm that surrounds them. Such beings walk quietly through the world, leaving no wounds behind, carrying the Dharma not in words alone, but in every gesture of their lives. As practice continues to mature, the practitioner comes to see that peace is not an escape from life, but a way of standing firmly within it without being shaken. The Buddha's teaching reveals that when passions are subdued, the heart is no longer dragged by longing or pushed by fear. Desire still arises as a natural movement, but it is known, understood, and released without struggle. Aversion may appear, but it is met with mindfulness rather than obedience. Delusion may whisper, but wisdom listens without being deceived. In this way, the inner landscape becomes spacious, allowing thoughts and feelings to pass like clouds across an open sky. The senses, once unruly and demanding, gradually learn restraint through awareness. They no longer chase after objects or recoil from experience. They simply receive, know, and release. This restraint is not rigid, but flexible and kind, like a skilled rider guiding a horse with gentle hands. The Buddha praised this quality because it leads to freedom without bitterness, discipline without hardness, and renunciation without sorrow. The verse points to certainty on the path, a certainty born not of dogma, but of direct realization. When the Four Noble Truths are seen clearly, doubt falls away naturally. Suffering is recognized as it is. Its causes are understood without blame. Its cessation is known as peace, and the path is walked with confidence and humility. This certainty does not need to announce itself. It expresses itself through steadiness, patience, and a quiet joy that does not depend on circumstances. Perfect purity, as spoken by the Buddha, is the absence of inner pollution, the ending of greed, hatred, and confusion. It is not a state of isolation, but one of deep connection, where the heart resonates with the well-being of all beings. Laying aside the rod is the visible sign of this purity. It means abandoning not only physical violence, but the subtle forms of harm that arise through control, manipulation, and judgment. The practitioner learns to meet others without the urge to correct, dominate, or diminish. Speech becomes gentle and timely. Silence becomes compassionate rather than dismissive. Even disagreement is held with respect and care. The Buddha taught that such conduct is not weakness, but strength born of understanding. One who has laid aside the rod has no need to defend an image, because the self has loosened its grip. In relationships, this freedom manifests as patience, forgiveness, and generosity. The practitioner listens deeply, responds thoughtfully, and accepts difference without hostility. In this way, the Dharma becomes relational, lived through contact with others rather than apart from them. The Buddha's verse affirms that one who lives like this is truly an ascetic, regardless of appearance. Asceticism here means the burning away of defilements, not the burning of the body. It means simplicity of heart, clarity of intention, and sincerity of practice. The true bhikkhu, as described, is one who has stepped back from harming and stepped forward into compassion. This identity is not claimed, but recognized through conduct. The practitioner may walk through the world dressed simply or beautifully, engaged in work or study, surrounded by people or alone. Yet their inner posture remains the same. They are not entangled in praise or blame. They do not measure themselves against others. They do not cling to roles or titles. The Dharma has become internal, shaping perception itself. Life is experienced as a flow of conditions rather than a battlefield of desires. In this flow, gratitude arises naturally. Each moment is received as an opportunity to practice, each challenge as a teacher, each joy as a reminder of impermanence. The Buddha's words guide practitioners to trust this gentle unfolding, to release harsh ideals of holiness, and to embrace a path that is humane and sustainable. When peace becomes the foundation, compassion becomes the expression. When wisdom becomes clear, harmlessness becomes effortless. This is the life praised in the verse, a life where freedom and kindness are not separate, but two aspects of the same awakening, quietly benefiting all who come into contact with it. As this teaching comes to its quiet completion, the heart rests in the simplicity the Buddha revealed. True holiness is not declared by appearance, but known through peace. True renunciation is not withdrawal from life, but freedom within it. When passions are subdued, the mind no longer burns. When the senses are controlled, the heart no longer scatters. When certainty of the path is established, fear dissolves and trust matures. When purity is complete, kindness flows without effort. The practitioner no longer needs to prove anything, to reject anything, or to become anything. Life is lived as it is, with clarity and care. Each step is taken without harm. Each word is spoken with awareness. Each thought is held lightly. The rod is laid aside completely, not only in action, but in intention, and the world is met without hostility. This is the quiet dignity of the awakened life, gentle yet unshakable, simple yet profound. The Buddha offered this path out of compassion, knowing that beings suffer not from lack of hardship, but from lack of understanding. In walking this path, the heart becomes a refuge, and one's presence becomes a blessing. Thank you for watching my video. Namo Amitabha. I wish to bring this merit towards all disciples and sentient beings, all of whom will attain Buddhahood. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate your time.